As twilight settled over the town of Greenwood, a thick fog rolled in from the woods, creeping along the streets like an unwelcome guest. With the sun falling behind the horizon, a chill swept through the air. It was the kind of night that made the hairs on the back of your neck stand up and sent everyone scurrying indoors. But for a group of friends, the encroaching darkness was an invitation for adventure. "Come on, it's just a legend," Mark insisted, his eyes glinting with excitement. "What's the worst that could happen?" He leaned against the rusted fence that bordered the dark woods, a mix of bravado and foolhardiness swirling through him. "Says the kid who wore his Halloween costume last week because he was too scared to take it off," Jenna teased, her voice light but her face betraying a flash of apprehension. She had heard the stories about the Rake, the creature that dragged its victims into the woods when they wandered too far from safety. "Don't be such a wuss, Jenna. We'll stick together. It'll be a fun campfire story to tell. Right, Charlie?" Mark turned to Charlie, who remained uncharacteristically quiet, his gaze fixed on the thick trees that loomed before them. "Yeah, I guess," Charlie muttered, though he seemed far more concerned than excited. The tales had spread like wildfire through the school. The Rake was said to be a pallid thing, with long fingers and sharp claws, a specter who would find you when you were alone, leaving no trace but the dread that followed. "Okay, then," Mark shouted, dismissing the apprehensions of the group. "We'll hike in a little ways, set up a fire, and tell stories. It'll be fun." Reluctantly, Jenna and Charlie followed him into the woods, a faint beam from Charlie's flashlight cutting through the mist. The trees twisted above them, their gnarled limbs scratching against each other as if whispering secrets meant to frighten. As they ventured deeper and set up their campfire, the air grew still, the only sound coming from the snap of wood as flames devoured it hungrily. As they sat around the fire, the stories flowed, laughter bubbling up despite the oppressive atmosphere. Yet, with each tale spun of ghosts and perils, the laughter faded, shadows creeping closer. Jenna fidgeted, glancing around as the fog thickened, a chilly breeze weaving through their circle. Suddenly, Mark fell silent, staring into the darkness beyond the reach of the flickering flames. "Hey, you guys hear that?" he asked, tension etched in his voice. Jenna and Charlie exchanged nervous glances. "Hear what?" Jenna asked, heart racing. "It's like a rustling. Over there." Mark pointed toward the trees, squinting into the gloom. Silence swallowed the area, but then it came again, a low scraping sound, as if something with claws were dragging against bark. "I think we should go," Jenna said, her earlier bravado evaporating. "This isn't a good idea." "Ah, come on, it's just the wind," Mark scoffed, but his voice lacked its usual confidence. The rustling grew louder, a haunting thrum that sent shivers coursing down their spines. Charlie grabbed Jenna's wrist tightly. "We need to leave, now." But before they could react, a shadow emerged from the trees, its form pale and grotesque, the outline thin and skeletal. Its long fingers cracked like branches as it reached into the air, a breath hitching in Jenna's throat. "Run!" Charlie yelled, pulling both Jenna and Mark away from the fire, but fear had paralyzed them momentarily. They stumbled backward, eyes wide as the Rake's hauntingly hollow eyes glimmered in the dark. Mark found his voice, "Don't look at it. Keep running." They dashed toward the path, but the thick fog ensnared them, disorienting their escape. Jenna felt her legs growing heavy, as though the mist itself was pulling her back toward the abyss of the woods. Up ahead, Charlie called to them, his flashlight swirling in frantic arcs. "Over here, this way." Bolting past the horrid creature, they sprinted toward the beam of light, the sound of claws scraping the ground echoing closer behind them. Panic surged through Jenna as they broke free of the heavy fog, rushing down the path, but the Rake's hollow growls echoed in their ears, bitter laughter lingering in the wind. Just before they reached the edge of the woods, time hung for a breath. In an instant, Mark tripped, body trying to propel him past his own fear. Jenna turned in horror, her heart pounding against her ribs as the Rake loomed closer, swift and silent. "Help!" Mark screamed, but it rang hollow as he was snatched into the darkness, echoing their shouts of terror. "Keep running," Charlie yelled, grasping Jenna's hand tightly as they stumbled, their breaths ragged. They broke free from the forest's grasp, collapsing onto the soft grass beyond the tree line, gasping for air. It was then they saw it, Just beyond the borders of the trees, pale fingers reaching from the darkness, a shadow still hungry for the light. In the bitter cold of dawn, the town awoke unaware of the horrors concealed within the woods. Mark was gone, left to the stories told in hushed tones. And as Jenna and Charlie stood solemnly beside the whispering trees, they vowed never to return, but the night was still alive with laughter, and the Rake would always be watching, waiting for the next moment of courage where fear would falter, and the young would wander too close to the edge.